Hello and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX, and I am here with my vice mayor and famous guy in Toronto, the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman.
Yeah, anyone who lives in Toronto knows me at this point.
Yeah.
I've become a staple on the local airwaves. So yeah, Blue Jays fans, we've been interacting with Blue Jays fans this whole week. It's been fun having some of them around the show, and yeah, hopefully they were all able to hear me on local radio.
You're going to be insufferable. I am going to just have a time dealing with you. But of course, this show is brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. And I am dressed like this for a particular reason. Yes, of course, because I am an adult man-child and I am not ready to give up on Christmas yet, but for another reason, and that is because I am in solidarity with our new brother, Lourdes Gurriel. Leah, if you wouldn't mind putting that up, look at that, and then get back to here, get back to us here. All right, check this out, and then back to the image again. All right, the back here one more time, and then maybe back to the image once more. Oh man, come on, these are two good-looking guys right here. Look at this. No, I did not go out and buy this jacket just for this episode. I just so
are you sure? Are you sure, Derek? I don't know.
You're gonna have to wonder about that
after how much we talked about Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s hair and his fashion sense yesterday. I am not entirely convinced that you did not just go purchase this jacket for the purpose of matching with Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
Look, having a green jacket with little toucans on it, wearing Santa hats, is a staple of every young man that came from an island, and I too am happy to have this in my closet. But I'm also going to pander to Canada a little bit here, Jesse. I'm going to pander to our new friends from Canada. But is this Carlos Correa situation turning into a bare naked ladies song? I got some lyrics for you because I'm sure you got some.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I assume so.
There's some lyrics. It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side, and said, "I'm angry." 5 days since you laughed at me, saying, "Get that together, come back and see me." Because it's been 6 days since Carlos Correa is physical now, Jesse, with the Mets. And we still have no developments in this situation. Carlos Correa is not signed. I have no idea what's going to happen here. But I guess my question to you is this a must-sign deal for these two parties at this point to both kind of save, save face and kind of save from this getting worse, especially financially for Carlos Correa?
My hunch is that the deal gets done. I mean, if you think about this from both perspectives, right, from the Mets side and from Carlos Correa's side, they both have a lot to lose here, right? Like the Mets can't just go and pass on Carlos Correa and go get someone similar in free agency. There's nobody like him left, right, at this point. And especially after Steve Cohen made the comments that he made talking about Carlos Correa, being that last piece that they needed in order to really get over the hump. It's hard to make those comments to your fan base and then, decide you're actually not going to sign him a week or two after that. From Carlos Correa's standpoint, he also has a lot to lose here. This deal is already 1 year less than the deal that he had lined up with the San Francisco Giants. Instead of 13 years and $350 million, we're down to 12 years, $315 million. I suspect that will have to drop a little bit farther in order for this deal to actually get done. Carlos Correa, I'm sure, would have other suitors, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But Carlos Correa really seems to like the New York Mets, and the New York Mets seem to be, from what we've heard, a team that he really wants to play for. So I think there's a lot for him to lose here as well.
And that would make not one, if the deal falls through, that would make not one but two very collectible Carlos Correa jerseys floating around somewhere out there that nobody should ever have their hands on.
This time though, do you think there is a Carlos Correa Mets jersey floating around?
Here the Giants
didn't cancel the press conference, right? They didn't cancel the press conference here. That didn't happen.
Right. You're right. But the Giants, they have jerseys. They don't put names on the back. So maybe they were smart enough to have one of those jerseys, right, available. Just that was what he was going to wear, just in case. I don't know. I guess speaking of the Giants, though, does this free the Giants of kind of looking foolish here in this situation now that it's become a bit of a spectacle for the Mets, I guess, and now that it's drawn out this far?
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to like when we threw shade at the Giants and their inability to get this deal done, it's at this point, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess your medical staff, kind of knows what they're talking about, and they're not the only organization that seems to have a problem with Carlos Correa's medical history. But yeah, I think it definitely takes some pressure off from the Giants in the public eye, from the standpoint that I don't think they're going to draw as much criticism at this point. But Giants also really could have used Carlos Correa, and similar to what we were just talking about with the Mets, like you can't find another Carlos Correa. There's nobody else on the open market like that at this point in free agency. So I still think it's a pretty big loss, all things considered, for the San Francisco Giants.
Let's wildly speculate about something, Jesse, because yesterday we talked that there were 3 teams that are in on Carlos Correa should this deal fall through with the Mets. So I was wondering who you think might be one of the teams that would be in on Carlos Correa.
I mean, I think it's obvious, Derek. It is abundantly clear that the 3 teams in on Carlos Correa are the Cleveland Guardians, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Oakland Athletics. Those 3 teams, they're right there. They've got a check written for $280 million that's already ready to go, which it wouldn't even make sense for them to write a check for $280 million because they're going to pay that over the course of like a decade. But those teams, Derek, maybe they're not known to spend much money, but you never know. You went there. You did that to me. 'Tis the season to be joyful, Derek, and to at times do a little bit crazy things. So who knows? Maybe one of those teams could swipe in here.
All right. I have some serious ideas here, and I actually think that you might think that these are pretty good ideas. First, I think the Twins are one of the teams. I think the Twins want Carlos Correa back, and I think should all of this fall apart, they would be happy to welcome him back with open arms and say, come back to us. We liked having you here. We want you back. I also think the Boston Red Sox are a team that are desperately trying to appease their fan base, like what Sean DePaz said when he was on this show, right? He talked about how the Boston Red Sox aren't this franchise that shouldn't be spending much money. They should be out there trying to, bring in some of these big names themselves, or at the very least keep their own big names from signing somewhere else. So I feel like they would be in on him as well. And just for the hell of it, the Seattle Mariners. I don't know. The Seattle Mariners seem like a team that would make some sort of crazy big addition like that based on how good they were. And it wouldn't be that dumb of them to do that because they have a young, talented team. And of course, I think adding someone like Correa would be incredible. But I'm sure none of those are actually it. What is happening here? We got Chris Melton with the super chat. Let's go. I love you and I miss you. And yes, Team Marlene forever. We are always Team Marlene. Jesse, I don't know, though. I think that at least the Diamondbacks don't have any of that going on. But we do have a little bit of spying on our exes to do. If you would, Leah, let's throw that graphic up there. And that's always creepy. That's never not unsettling. But Gene Segura signed a 2-year deal worth $17 million with the Miami Marlins, who finally did something in free agency, Jesse. To be honest, Segura was pretty damn good with the Philadelphia Phillies. So what are your thoughts on the Marlins snagging Segura?
What's wild to me about this is that the news came out today that the Marlins are planning to use Gene Segura as a third baseman, which is not something I ever
Whoa.
anticipated to hear
Yeah.
regarding Gene Segura. He's just not, I mean, I'm sure he could play a decent third base. He's always been a pretty solid defender, even now into, inching closer to his mid 30s at this point. But I don't know if Gene Segura's bat necessarily profiles at third base. It seems like a bit of a bold move for the Marlins on that front. But initially, I really liked it. I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, Gene Segura, one of the best free agents still available, really solid middle infielder, as I said before. But yeah, this took an interesting turn today with the news that the Marlins apparently plan to use him over at the hot corner instead.
I think that he really turned his career around a bit with his time in Philadelphia. He accumulated a 7.9 total FWAR. He snapped the longest active player postseason drought in MLB. And I mean, Segura made a bunch of highlight-worthy plays in 4 seasons there with Philly. So it's a situation where he raised his stock, I think, a bit, and played pretty. Was a pretty solid member of that Phillies team that made that run in the playoffs. Honestly, I think a lot of those guys, like typically whenever you make a run or you win a World Series, it's time to find that probably that maximum payday that you can get with the next team. So considering Segura's career, I thought this was pretty good, not only for him, but not too bad for a guy that's still playing at his level.
He did. So I'm looking now, and Segura did play 24 games with the Phillies at third base back in 2020. Those are the only games that he has played at third base in his entire career. So yeah, I still can't get over the fact that the Marlins are planning to use this guy at third when he slugged 387 last year. But anyway, I digress. Segura he was a great player for the Phillies, and especially in 2021. Last year he was really spectacular. This year the offense took a little bit of a step back, but he was still a solid defender, like I said before. He had some big moments in the playoffs as well. I want to say that in that crazy game against the St. Louis Cardinals, that got the Phillies to the next round of the postseason, I believe Gene Segura had like a very important base hit in that game. Without it, I don't think the Phillies would have been able to continue on, or at least they would have needed somebody else to step up in that spot. So yeah, he obviously has been a good player in this league for a long time, and he gets another decent sized payday here with Miami.
Brett Johnson in the comments is making fun of my pronunciation of FWAR. Is it FWAR? Is that what it FWAR? What's the problem with it? Did I say FWAR?
I think you say, like most people say war, and you say war. That's the only difference that I'm aware of.
It's on purpose. It's a purple. I know the word war is war, but war is war. Sorry. Anyway, but you only get insight like that on this show. I thought you knew that, Jesse, of course. But if you get yourself a membership at gophnx.com, you'll get wonderful insight like this. You'll get Jesse's articles. What is your most recent piece that people can catch over for free on gophnx.com?
For free, we have the 10 free agents that was released yesterday. So if you haven't checked that out already, be sure to do so. 10 free agents who are still available, which of course, as we discussed yesterday, is actually 9 free agents, because inevitably minutes after I published this story, Corey Kluber signed with the Boston Red Sox. So it's really 9 free agents.
It's about to be 6 if you don't read that article right away.
It is. Yeah, you better get on it soon. But we do have a diehard piece coming today as well. So be sure to become a diehard if you have not already.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, with that diehard membership, not only do you get exclusive access to Jesse's diehard only pieces, but you get exclusive merch like this hat or one of our shirts from the PHNXlocker.com every single year. You get 20% off all other merchandise purchases as well, not to mention 20% off events like our upcoming PHNX Sports inaugural tea party, which is happening at Dobson Ranch Golf Course. Make sure to join us on Friday, January 13th. We're going to have an awesome time with the PHNX Suns crew doing a watch party. The Suns are facing off against the Timberwolves. Join us that night. Your entry fee here will get you unlimited range balls on Dobson Ranch Golf Course's amazing golf range, set of rental clubs if you don't have your own, and 1 free hour of range time, and golf balls at Dobson Ranch to be used at a later time. This will also have jumbo screen showing the Suns versus the Timberwolves. Jesse is going to whoop that ass in ping pong. Contest entries for longest drive, putting challenges, highest score, and more. We'll have heaters and hot chocolate available, courtesy of Lindsay Smith. Food and drink will be available for purchase, along with offerings from the PHNX locker and our partners as well. There will also be a free kids clinic provided for all kids 10 and under. So join us on Friday the 13th. We're going to have a blast out there. Four Peaks, of course, is hosting this with us, and we are always thankful of our friends over at the Four Peaks Brewing Company. They will be there as well, providing beer samples and swag. Like I said, we're going to have PHNX locker merchandise for sale as well. So make sure if you didn't get everything you wanted under the tree, you come out and grab some merch from us. Check the link in the description, reserve your spot right now. And for our diehards, check the Discord for your special link where you'll save 20% off on this awesome event. Of course, if you can't join us, make sure to grab some Four Peaks beer wherever you get your beer, and enjoy remotely and enjoy responsibly. Must be 21 and over to enjoy. An MLB.com article completely has ruined my day, Jesse. It ruined my day because, of course, it has gone on. A great article, by the way, from a great writer, a guy who wrote this book, Anthony Castrovince, this book that Jesse gave me and made me read and then quizzed me on, and I failed. MLB.com has an article from Mr. Castrovince predicting who will win the major awards in baseball in the 2023 season. He predicted the MVP for both leagues, Cy Young winner, Manager of the Year, and Rookie of the Year. And unfortunately, he did not give Corbin Carroll the National League Rookie of the Year. That went to Jordan Walker, I believe. However, he did predict some other good things for the Arizona Diamondbacks. This man, this legend, this god, predicted that Zach Gallen would win the National League Cy Young Award and that his manager, Torey Lovullo, would win the National League Manager of the Year.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, like, if I were a betting man and I were trying to figure out, like, all right, who from the D-backs has the best chance to win one of these big awards for next season, Corbin Carroll at Rookie of the Year, I think, is probably the safest bet. Torey Lovullo winning Manager of the Year. I understand where Castrovince is coming from here. He's basically saying, like, hey, let's try to find the team that seems most poised to kind of surprise some people and bounce back in a big way, and maybe be in the playoff picture. The Diamondbacks at this point are one of those teams, right? It'd be hard to give it to a Dave Roberts or one of the managers of the teams that's already really well established. We don't tend to see that all that often. So I understand where he's coming from there. But that's still a pretty bold prediction to have Torey Lovullo in there at Manager of the Year. And it's also bold to have Zach Gallen in there. At the Cy Young Award, there's a number of very, very good pitchers in the National League. Gallen had the best year of his career last year and still only finished fifth because that's just kind of the nature of the National League when it comes to pitchers. And I think it's certainly possible that Zach Gallen could pull that off. But both of those predictions seem bolder than just saying Corbin Carroll for the Rookie of the Year award.
He called Zach Gallen the ace of the all awardless team. Meaning that Zach Gallen was by far the best pitcher that did not achieve anything of note this season, at least with an award or anything. But a lot of people in baseball know how good Zach Gallen is. I think a lot of people are aware of what Zach Gallen can do. My thought is that now we're cursed, Jesse. I think now that this article has come out, Zach Gallen's going to have a terrible season. And the Diamondbacks are going to go backwards because, of course, nothing good happens when anybody predicts anything good is going to go that way for this team. Do we not remember what MLB Network said about Ketel Marte last offseason? Do I have to even bring that up again?
I mean, if the history of this franchise says anything, it's that, like, when people have expectations for this baseball team, things don't go well. And when people don't have any expectations, things might go pretty well. I mean, you look at the last few times the Diamondbacks have made the postseason, right? 2017, 2011, 2007. The year before all of those seasons, the D-backs were not particularly good, and they were not really expected to ascend to that next level like they did. Whereas this year, you're starting to see some people like, I don't think the D-backs are, favored to win the NL West or anything like that, but you're starting to see some more people paying attention to this baseball team. And the history is not great on that, Derek. If people are expecting things from the D-backs, the track record there is not all that great.
Yeah. Also, Brett Johnson in the comments says, if Zach Gallen was in a major market like LA or New York, him being a Cy Young pick wouldn't be surprising. Yeah, I mean, especially with his numbers and considering that he is still kind of on the rise as far as his career is concerned. But yeah, I don't want to think that way. And no, I get it. I brought up stuff I shouldn't be bringing up. But I'm just saying. Gabriel Ferreira says it's pretty easy to win Manager of the Year when a team of 22-year-olds wins 97 games and takes the division from the Padres.
I love how he says from the Padres. Like the Dodgers aren't even mentioned here.
They're finishing third in his mind. I love it. And Gabriel may or may not have eaten an entire bag of OGs. I have no way to confirm that. But if you want to have crazy, wild thoughts and be super confident in them the way Gabriel is, make sure to grab yourself some OGs. It doesn't matter what flavor you grab. They're all delicious. OGs is all about flavoring life. And of course, they have a wide variety of doses and strains for you to choose from. So make sure to grab some OGs at your local dispensary. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy, and enjoy responsibly. I don't know if I would. I don't know how I feel about saying 97 games it takes the division is enjoying them responsibly, but I definitely want to be on the same level as Gabriel right now. That's for sure. Anyway. I'm not. I have no way. Like I said, that's speculation. I have no way to confirm that, but it feels based on that response like the direction that he's going. Of course, we thank him for being here, so I can pick on him, and we thank all of you for being here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Make sure if you haven't subscribed already to do so. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Leave us a little thumbs up. Jesse loves when you do that. Of course, if you're listening to us right now on your favorite audio podcasting app, make sure to subscribe to us there as well. Leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback. Of course, Jesse, we are very excited. The World Baseball Classic starts in 68 days. I, of course, am furious that we didn't talk about this yesterday so that I could have said that we were 69 days away. I would have had a good laugh at that. But anyway, moving on, the US&A roster is pretty damn stacked looking at it, Jesse. That's my first thought in this whole situation as far as the upcoming World Baseball Classic. I did not know that the USA roster was this stacked. It's going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, at the catcher position, you have JT Realmuto and Will Smith. Like those might just be the two best catchers in baseball. You could at least make a case for that. First base, you have Pete Alonso and NL MVP Paul Goldschmidt. Second base, you have Trevor Story. Third base, you have Nolan Arenado and Bobby Witt Jr. He's also in there representing the Kansas City Royals. Maybe poised to take a big step forward next year. I think Witt has a bright future ahead, even if he hasn't quite gotten to that point yet. Shortstop, Tim Anderson, Trey Turner. Outfield, you've got Mookie Betts, you have Mike Trout, you have Kyle Tucker, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Schwarber. And the pitching staff, not too shabby, Derek. We have, of course, Diamondbacks own Merrill Kelly, Nestor Cortez, Kyle Freeland, Brady Singer, Adam Wainwright, Logan Webb, the ace from the San Francisco Giants. This is like basically an all-star team. I mean, it's basically an all-star team from Major League Baseball. And the fun thing with, the World Baseball Classic is that it's, I don't know, at least for me, watching like the Olympics and basketball in the Olympics, where the USA is just like, if they're not winning every game by 40, it just feels like something deeply wrong has happened. Whereas in baseball, that's not necessarily the case. There are some other countries who are usually able to put together some impressive rosters. Specifically, the Dominican Republic is always up there for sure. So it should still be fun to watch, but I don't think you could really ask for anything more from a U.S. standpoint in terms of the roster they put together. It's pretty impressive.
Well, and you bring up the Dominican Republic and their roster, how stacked they are, and another island in the Caribbean now has a chance to have a stacked roster of their own. The United States will permit Major League Baseball players from Cuba to represent their home country in the World Baseball Classic next year. This clears the way for guys like Jose Abreu, Jordan Alvarez, Randy Arozarena, Yon Moncado, and Luis Robert to play for Cuba, some of their all-stars. The Cuban athletes competing on the island can't earn a paycheck, reportedly, under the communist government, which prohibited professional sports following the Cuban Revolution 60 years ago, right? So the sanctions by the U.S. made it impossible for Cubans to play professionally for an American team without defecting from Cuba. And then if they defected from Cuba, they effectively could not play for any Cuban teams, for any Cuban national teams in any sport.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of sad, frankly, just all of the restrictions and everything that those players go through in order to get to the point that guys like Jose Abreu and Luis Robert are at now, being more established big leaguers. A lot of the best players in the league for a number of years have been from Cuba. But yeah, there's been a lot of things that have happened that have kind of been roadblocks in those guys getting to those places that they're at now. I've also seen reports. I believe that Cuba taxes. They have like an income tax on Cubans who come to the U.S. and play. So my understanding is that like Yordan Alvarez, his paycheck from the Astros, I think part of that paycheck actually gets sent back to Cuba as part of the laws that they have in place. So there's just a lot of things going on there. But this is good news, just that those players will have the opportunity to represent their country in the World Baseball Classic. I don't think those names are confirmed yet, like Jose Abreu and Yordan Alvarez. It's more just like the door is
speculation.
Open.
Yeah, the door is open for them to be a part of the team, right. And honestly, looking at the USA roster, one thing I can say is I'm actually surprised by the level of talent they have on there. Typically, because of when the World Baseball Classic takes place, I feel like players were reluctant at one time to be a part of the national team, especially when it was leading into the season and basically extending, their season even further. Now it happens at the same time as spring training. So I don't know. It's kind of just maybe more about getting some live action against real competition instead of spring training games that can basically be lackluster exhibitions. I get it. It's exciting, right? The fact that these are all-star teams does make it exciting. And for Cuba now to have the possibility of now being yet another all-star team playing in this tournament, it just makes it that much more fun. That's the way I view it. The more of these MLB players that we can get on the field for this tournament, I think the more exciting it's going to be, obviously. So I'm all for it. But it's also really weird. Like you and I were discussing beforehand, just the kind of idea of these guys playing baseball and not being able to be paid for it. Like that's kind of a crazy thing. And you can kind of understand a bit more why certain players have gone in the past through what they've gone through in order to defect from Cuba to come to the United States, right? Like, yeah, especially if you're a unique talent that could make it in Major League Baseball. But apparently Cuban officials accused the Biden administration of blocking the MLB players from representing Cuba. So basically, United States lifted any kind of sanctions that would prevent them from doing so. So at least it's a step. As the Baseball Federation of Cuba president Juan Ronaldo Perez Pardo said, it's a positive step, in the direction not only for Cuba but for this, this entire situation being as crazy as some of these stories are for players that needed to defect from Cuba, not to be that as much anymore. Maybe we can move past that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, if they need a third baseman, I've heard that Yasmani Tomas is available and ready to go. So, maybe they want to give him a call if they find themselves in need.
I don't. No. Why are you doing? Why are you doing that? I already riled everybody up earlier, and you're going to do it again with this? Come on. Is Yasmani Tomas still playing for some minor league team in the national system? Is that really still happening?
That is a great question.
I don't want to know.
My last the last time I've checked. No, he hasn't played a minor league game since 2021. He has played a little bit of winter ball, however, in the Mexican Pacific Winter League. Yasmani Tomas is hitting .330 with a .378 on base percentage, a .512 slugging percentage. That's in 283 plate appearances. So there you go. Mexican Winter League, Yasmani Tomas having some success.
I hate it. I hate it. I don't even want to hear that. Anyway, moving on. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my DraftKings pick of the week. I actually did all right on the bet show, Jesse. I think I went 3 for 4 on my bets, so not bad.
Okay,
not terrible.
right.
DeAndre Ayton had to spite me. I think I took the under on 9.5, and he got 10 rebounds, of course, because that's what he always does to me. But I wanted to give you guys some action on the Thursday night football game. The spread right now between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans is 14 points, that the Cowboys are going to win by 14. I don't believe that's going to happen, sir. I think that's a fraudulent line. So I'm going to take the Titans at plus the plus 14 at minus 110. And of course, I'm going to also take, you know what? Let's take the over. Let's go over. Let's ride for a high scoring game. So there's my pick of the week. And of course, you can do whatever you want over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Make sure to look for their not only same game parlays, but they have their opt-in boosts as well. So make sure to check on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Leah was right about the Coyotes puck line on Tuesday, by the way. She was absolutely
Aren't
right.
the Avs like
They
really good too?
Yes,
I think
they
that
are.
didn't the Avs win the championship last year?
I believe
Am I mistaken?
Jesse, if I do subscribe to the DNVR.com, and I'm pretty sure that I saw over there on their hockey side that they won the World Stanley Cup. I don't know, how does that work? World
the World
Stanley.
I think
Stanley
it's called
Cup?
the Stanley Cup. I think
Lord
the World
Stanley's
Cup is something else.
I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
Leah, we've made Leah just. I feel really bad for Leah in this moment. She's crying in the background right now.
She's fine. The Yotes are a wagon, right? See, Charles Woodall Pike says the Yotes are a wagon.
Is their overall record good though? Are they like they are pretty decent at home, but they're just miserable on the road? Is that the situation?
I think Leah, can you come in and give us some insight on that?
We need the latest on the Yotes.
Yeah.
They're in 27th place out of 32. So not great, but they are 6-3-2 at home. So
6-3-2 at home. Yeah. You
don't
come into the Mullet Arena and expect us to lay down.
Toronto Maple Leafs today, and they have a history of beating them. So just take that for what you will.
Yeah. Let's throw some money on the Yotes against the Toronto Maple Leafs while we're at it. Puck line, let's go. Yotes.
Do it.
I know they're the underdog because they're always the underdog.
The Stanley Cup, Derek, not the World Stanley Cup. I don't know.
It's Lord Stanley's Cup, right?
All
right, there we go. I got it. I got that one. All right, thanks. Anyway, if you want to get in on the fun, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. If you're a new customer, bet $5 on any NBA money line bet. If your team wins, you will get $150 in free bets instantly. That's our promo code of PHNX only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. I don't know. Get on there. Bet the puck line on the Coyotes, because they're always going to be down. Charles Woodall Pike says Yotes about to undo all the good will the D-backs have created with Toronto tonight. You're damn right we are. Let's go. Yes, Leah, I love the hoodie too. I can't wait for mine to arrive. I'm so jealous of everybody that got theirs. But again, go check out the PHNXlocker.com if you haven't done so already. We got hoodies over there. It's the best. They're the best. I didn't even know the one that I got is embroidered, apparently. So I'm very excited to see that when it arrives. So that's cool. But we thank you guys for being here. Thanks to Leah for always telling us what the Coyotes are up to. Thanks to all of you for your comments. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse and Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys again so much for being here on behalf of Leah, Jesse, and myself. We appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when MLB.com does not predict good things are going to happen to the Diamondbacks.